What's up, a Cinema Shogun here, and just when I thought there weren't any good people left in Hollywood, just when I thought that I couldn't possibly like Jim Carrey any more than I already do, he comes out and totally redeems himself. Seriously though, Jim Carrey appeared on a morning show today and he addressed the Will Smith, Jada Pinkett Smith, Chris Rock situation, and man, he let Hollywood have it. And he worded everything perfectly. Hats off to him for having the courage to say this. Like I said, I've lost all hope that there's any reasonable people in Hollywood. Hollywood is full of totally woke nutcases. And I always got the feeling that Jim Carrey wasn't one of them. I kind of get the feeling that, maybe for a while he kind of tilted to that side, but I've noticed he's been trying to break free of that woke Hollywood nonsense for a while now. Probably one of the reasons you don't see him in many movies. But today, he decided to say something. I want to go ahead and without further ado, let's listen to a little bit of what he had to say. Now, this is a 2-minute clip. I'm going to break it down in little parts and react to it because we don't want copyright strikes. Plus, I have different thoughts on every little detail of what he said. But let's go ahead and take a listen.
You watched it unfold, and then what happened after?
I was sickened. I was sickened by the standing ovation. I felt like Hollywood is just spineless, en masse. And it really felt like, this is a really clear indication that we're not the cool club anymore.
Exactly, Jim Carrey. Hollywood is totally spineless. There are plenty of people in that crowd that don't agree with what happened, but they're going to stand up and applaud because it fits their woke narrative. Had Will Smith been white, he would have never made it back to his seat. I will say it again for the people in the back. Had Will Smith been white, he would have never made it back to his seat. But because he's a black man, and the narrative right now in Hollywood is to basically not hold anybody accountable for what they do unless they're white, they just, let's give this guy a round of applause after he assaulted another black man live on television at the fucking Oscars. So yeah, Hollywood is spineless, and most of them won't come out and say anything about this because it goes against their narrative. They're afraid. They're afraid here. This just crumbled everything. This just brought down the whole woke Hollywood's whole foundation that's crumbling around them. Yes, I like to see them turn on each other and smack each other. I think it's funny, and I think it's also funny that none of them, despite being so woke and so concerned about this and so concerned about that, none of them have the courage to step up and say what Will Smith did was wrong because it goes against the left narrative right now. And they're all super concerned about being as far left as they can possibly be, as woke as they can possibly be, and they're totally spineless. And yeah, they're not the cool club anymore. There was a point where, Hollywood, they were cool. You looked up to them. Nowadays, one by one, slowly but surely, Hollywood and all of these famous elite people, they're being exposed. They're all being exposed for being hypocrites. They're not the cool kids anymore. They're totally out of touch. And yeah, famous people have always been somewhat out of touch, but man, they have just gone totally bonkers at this point. They have totally lost their minds, and they don't realize it. They don't realize when they get on there and give these incredibly stupid woke-ass speeches that are so out of touch with reality that normal people don't give a damn. In fact, normal people think they're complete idiots for half of the shit they believe in or say that they believe in, because honestly, I don't think a lot of these people have enough mind and enough brains to even form a thought. They just parrot whatever they're told. Whatever the main narrative is, they feed it to them, and then they just spew it everywhere, constantly. Well, in a situation like this, they're afraid to speak out about it. Totally spineless. I agree with Jim Carrey. Let's listen to what else he had.
Cool club anymore.
There was some question today about if anyone else had walked from the audience and done that, they would have been escorted out by security or maybe even arrested. The police asked Chris if he wanted to file charges. They asked Chris, do you want to file charges? And Chris apparently said no, he did not.
He doesn't want the hassle. I'd have announced this morning that I was suing Will for $200 million because that video is going to be there forever. It's going to be ubiquitous. That insult is going to last a very long time. If you want to yell from the audience and disapprove or show a disapproval or say something on Twitter or whatever, you do not have the right to walk up on stage and smack somebody in the face because they said words.
Gayle King, I won't go so far as to say if it was anyone else, they would have been arrested, because I think there were a few people in attendance that would have been able to walk right back to their seat after doing that. But what I will say, if the person who did that just so happened to be white, they would be in jail right now. They would have been canceled, career over, Oscar gone, any hopes of ever going to the Oscars gone. They would have never made it back to their chair. So I think we need to make that clear. Definitely need to make that clear. But I agree with what Jim Carrey is saying here. This is an extremely embarrassing moment, especially when in today's day and world where everything is a meme. The Will Smith slap meme is going to be one of the most popular memes for years and years to come. This is something Chris Rock will never live down. And I'm not saying that this is necessarily a moment he should be embarrassed about, because he handled himself very well. But at the same time, it might have an effect on him. We know that he was actually a victim of bullying growing up, and that's something I want to tackle in a future video. But you don't want to be remembered as the guy who got smacked by Will Smith at the Oscars. So yeah, this will be damaging to him. So yeah, I do think he should have sued. I don't disagree with what Jim Carrey has to say here. By the time he woke up in the morning, he would have filed a $200 million lawsuit. But also, these are just words. And Jim Carrey made sure to reiterate that these are just words. Nowadays, no one can take a joke. Also, we are grown. I understand that we all grow at our own pace, and every single day we are all growing as people. Every day I am growing as a man. Every day I learn a little bit more about what it means to be a man. And I know that at the very least, this wasn't a manly thing to do. I think a big part of being a man is about being in control of your emotions. A big part of being a man is being able to take some things and handle it. You don't have to lash out because someone made a joke at the Oscars. Jokes and words in general shouldn't be used as excuses for violence. We aren't middle school. Yes, I'll be the first to admit it. When I was in the 6th grade, I got in 2 fights because of yo mama jokes. But guess what? I'm not a middle schooler anymore. I know now that that is stupid. I don't care what the word is. I don't care what the insult is. You can't use it as an excuse for violence. Yet, there is a population of people here in this country who believe that there are certain words that can't be said, and if they are said, it's a perfect excuse for violence. Jada Pinkett Smith obviously has that type of a mentality. I believe that she's the culprit of what happened here. I know Will Smith is the one that physically did it, but the blame's really on Jada, if you really know about the real deal, about what's really going on behind the scenes here. But I agree. Words can never be used as an excuse for violence.
Words.
No, I agree. I think we all agree on that. I just thought, Jim, that it escalated to that. You know what I mean? That it escalated to that level.
It didn't escalate. Mm-hmm. It came out of nowhere because Will has something going on inside him that's frustrated, and I wish him the best. I really do. I don't. I don't have anything against Will Smith. He's done great things. But that was not a good moment. It cast a pall over everybody's shining moment last night. A lot of people worked really hard to get to that place and to have their moment in the sun and to get their award for the really hard work they did. And it is no mean feat to go through all the stuff you have to go through when you're nominated for an Oscar. It's a gauntlet of devotion that you have to do. And it was just a selfish moment that cast a pall over the whole thing.
Whoa. Now you see how Gayle King just tried to flip this shit? She just tried to flip it as if it escalated into this. It didn't escalate. There was no escalation. Once again, it's on full display how the mainstream media works. They're trying to manipulate you into believing something that never happened. There was no escalation. It was a simple G.I. Jane joke. It's not like Chris Rock sat there and decided, I'm going to do a whole set roasting Jada Pinkett Smith. He made a passing joke, laughed it off, I think he even said he loved her afterwards. Kept going. He was going to go about his speech. And then Will Smith approaches him and slaps him in the face. There was no, I think it escalated to no. Chris Rock told a lame, it wasn't even that big of a deal. A random lame joke. A passing joke. There was no escalation. She's acting like Chris Rock told this joke and then walked up to him and dropped the mic in their face. Was like, yeah, what you gonna do about it, motherfucker? You know? None of that happened. There was no escalation. The only escalation was when Jada Pinkett Smith gave that wicked death stare over to Will Smith and he realized, I gotta show her I'm still a man and protect her from these bad words about her balding head. Man, F that noise. F that noise. There was no escalation. I hate that people do things like this. And she's so full of shit. Gayle King is so full of it for this. We're trying to spin it this way, and I am so glad that Jim Carrey called it out. No, there was no escalation. There were some simple words. And now, everyone who won an Oscar that night, everyone who won an award that night, their night will always be dampened by what Will Smith did. And I know, I don't really give a damn about half the people in woke Hollywood who won awards. I don't care if their night was ruined and their moment was ruined. F them. But I also know that it takes a lot of people to make a movie work. You will be surprised about the hundreds and sometimes thousands of people that it takes to make a movie. Yeah, the actors, most of the directors, they're woke idiots. Most of the people behind the camera, most of the people doing the hard work behind the scenes on movies, they don't hold those same values. A lot of them are normal people like you and me. They're not woke Hollywood idiots. They're normal people who work all across the country. And I don't want them to have their night ruined because Will Smith and his wife can't take a joke about her head. I think that was totally selfish. What Will Smith did was totally selfish. And not only did he ruin everyone else's moment, he ruined his own. He tarnished his own moment. I like Will Smith. I never had an issue with Will Smith. He's always been like, if Will Smith's in a movie, I'm going to go see it. I don't know if there's a Will Smith movie out there that I haven't seen. I think he's an extremely talented guy. I thought up until this point he was an extremely likable guy. And I'm still, even to this point, I don't hate him for what he did because I really feel like he is heavily influenced by his wife. And I feel bad for him in some ways. I really do. I think he needs some help. I think he needs out of that relationship. I think he needs to get as far away from Jada as possible. But yeah, this whole situation is totally ridiculous. No one wants to say anything. And Jim Carrey, out of nowhere, comes and just straight scorches Hollywood. Now all these woke idiots are running around like chickens with their head cut off because they don't know how to react to it. And finally, Jim Carrey, the savior we didn't know we needed, comes down and is the voice of reason. When Jim Carrey is the voice of reason, then the world has just gone completely nuts. But I want to know your thoughts about this down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, become a channel member. You can also donate to the channel via CashApp. But as always, find some time out of your day to go watch a Jim Carrey movie.